Hi everyone and welcome to the Watch Lobby. I wanted to start today's video a little different. I've now been uploading content to YouTube for the last week and the support from everyone has been amazing. I'm hoping to deliver raw, honest reviews for everyone out there, so if this is what you're looking for, it would really mean a lot if you would subscribe to my channel. I'm still in a major learning curve and I'll be the first to admit my videos are far from a high-end production. I'm a one-man band, scripting, filming and editing my own content, with zero prior experience. If you have any pointers, hit me up, because it's definitely harder than I anticipated. Before we get started on today's video, I just wanted to let you guys know I'm trying out a couple of different things for my audio in this video, in the hopes to make the viewing experience better for all you guys. Let me know how you find it. Let's move on to what everyone came here for, a watch review. Up next on the chopping block is the Seiko SBDC053, often known as the 62 mass reinterpretation. There's actually a funny story with how this piece ended up in my collection and saved the day. In late 2019, I purchased my Rolex Explorer 2 pre-owned from a store in Sydney. It just happened that about a week after I purchased, I had a holiday booked to Japan, and I figured, why not take the GMT with me? You know, so it can do GMT things. Having not really worn the Rolex in the week after the purchase, I was really only wearing it for the first time as I was flying out of Australia. The first day we landed in Japan, I noticed the Explorer 2 is running about 30 minutes slow after an 8-hour flight. I figured it might not have gotten wound enough, so I fixed the time and strapped it back to my wrist. A day later, after a full day of activity, the Explorer was once again about 30 minutes slow. That night, I decided to wind the watch and set the time and see what happens in the morning. And sure and behold, this time it was about an hour and a half slow. Long story short, the Explorer that I had picked up a week earlier wasn't keeping time. Cue the Seiko SBDC053. On our second or third day in Osaka, we had planned a small trip to one of the local outlet malls. You know, happy wife, happy life. Having spotted a Seiko store inside, I instantly made a beeline to the store. Having read so much about the 62 mass reinterpretation previously, but never seeing one in person, I was amazed by how well they were made. Now, being a watch nerd, I don't think any of us really need any excuses to buy a watch. The watch was incredibly well priced that I couldn't walk away empty-handed. My initial intention was to purchase the watch and use it while on my trip as the Explorer decided to give up on me, and then sell the Seiko when I returned back to Australia. Well, here we are, over a year later, and the SBDC has found a spot in my collection for the long haul. Why is that? Well, stay tuned over the next few minutes to find out. In fact, let's just cut straight to it. That bezel. Unlike anything else in my collection, that lacquered aluminium bezel is something else. Truly, how can you not like that bezel? When you catch it in different light, it has different personalities, and I like that. Other than the bezel, the sunburst style is one that really pops. Again, who doesn't like a sunburst style? Laid out with applied hour indices, filled with Lumibright, this is one super legible piece. An oversized arrow hand, sword-shaped minute hand, and that lollipop seconds hand, all with a brushed finish, also filled with a generous amount of Lumibright, creates contrast between the dial and hands. While we're talking about lume, let's take a look at a lume shot. Did we really expect anything less? If it's one thing that Seiko does right, it'll be the lume. You can almost bet on that. This is no exception. That green Lumibright is mesmerizing. Unlike most Seikos, there are no misaligned chapter rings on this one. Did I get lucky, or are they all like this? Who knows? If you have one of the 62 mass reinterpretations, let me know in the comments down below. Now, it's not all clear sailing for Seiko on this one. Before we move on, let's address something that gets overlooked. Nothing on the watch actually matches. Between the bezel, dial, and chapter ring, not one element has the same type of finish. The high gloss bezel insert, the matte blue chapter ring, or the sunburst style. If Seiko had just spent a bit of time matching the bezel insert to either the dial or the bezel, it would have made all the difference. Is it a deal breaker? It's not for me, but it is something I notice whenever I wear it, especially when I'm out in the sunlight. Maybe I'm being too critical of a piece, that when new was coming in under $1,200. I've seen a lot worse from a lot more expensive pieces. Let's move on to the case. It measures in with a 42.5mm diameter, 50mm lug to lug, 13.5mm thick with a 20mm lug width. It's by no means a small watch, but the proportions are well done. As size is generally subjective, I like the size of the Seiko reissue. I'd personally prefer to have an extra millimeter or two in the diameter than the thickness which Seiko got right here. The case finishing is also very well done. Brushed all over with a chamfered top edge which catches the light differently and just adds extra depth to the appearance. The lug design, in my opinion, is just so accommodating to a variety of straps, and I think Seiko know that, with the addition of drilled lugs as well. The drilled lugs make it a piece of cake to quickly and easily swap out straps. What I love about the shallow lug design is that you can change the strap out with whatever you prefer and not have that unsightly gap often seen on pieces between the strap and the case. The case is topped off by a sapphire crystal and not one of Seiko's proprietary hardlex crystals, which is a plus. There is a screw down crown flanking the case, providing the Seiko with 200 meters of water resistance. But why for a piece at this price point do we not get a signed crown? Flipping this one over, on the case back we see the Seiko Tsunami Wave, which we'll see on Seiko's ISO certified dive watches. The words Air Divers 200 meter, stainless steel, sapphire crystal, made in Japan, plus also the reference and serial number and the Prospex logo. What's inside the case, you ask? Well, it's Seiko's 6R15. For those long-term Seiko collectors, this is the iteration before the current 6R35 you see in similar range Seikos in the current generation. The 6R15 was introduced in 2006 as a higher spec version of the 7S26 and was in production until the introduction of the 6R35 in 2019. The 6R15 has the ability to hack and hand wind and beats at 21,600 beats per hour. With a power reserve of roughly 50 hours, Seiko's recommended accuracy is between -15 and +25 seconds per day. I generally see about plus or minus 10 seconds a day out of mine. This is one tried and tested workhorse movement, albeit not the most accurate, but you'd be one of the very few to experience an issue with the 6R. This SBDC053 comes with a Seiko rubber dive strap, which I actually don't mind. Definitely a lot more subtle than what comes on lower tier Seikos. There are metal sleeves inside the strap where your spring bars would pass through, so you would be less likely to split the strap at the seam, and the hardware in the strap are very well made. It would have been nice to see the strap taper down a little and use slightly smaller profile hardware, but I guess the strap is fit for purpose in this instance, so I probably shouldn't be complaining. There is an OEM bracelet that came on the SBDC051, which I don't have an opinion on as I haven't experienced it, but I wouldn't mind adding one to the strap rotation for the 53 just to add another look. Being a true watch nerd, I don't let price dictate my bias on a watch. I'm not saying only liking affordables is a bad thing, or only liking luxury pieces is a bad thing. What I'm saying is that I personally judge each watch on its own merits and don't limit what is in my collection because it's cheap. Now, with all things considered, price, function, fit and finish, this SBDC053 really packs in a lot of value. This can definitely be a one watch collection piece. The versatility of those lugs allow you to just pair it with almost any strap someone has lying around in their top drawer. Dress it up or down, it doesn't matter. Take it away on a holiday with some straps tucked into your luggage and you're good to go. If you haven't experienced one of these, what are you waiting for? Signing out, your Seiko lover boy. Once again, thank you for tuning in. If you like what you see, please like, comment and subscribe. And as always, thank you and stay safe.